Good afternoon everybody. Buon pomeriggio a tutti. Thanks for your presence. It's a great pleasure and honor for me as President of the Italian-Cypriot Chamber of Commerce to host in the March Smart Talk of the Chamber the Minister of Energy, Commerce and Industry of the Republic of Cyprus, His Excellency Natasa Pilides, that I warmly thank for the presence. I am proud to be able to say that there is a long-term friendship and a strong relation between the Minister Pilides and the Chamber, that from the beginning, also in her previous institutional roles, gave us a strong support to the activities finalized to strengthen and develop the bilateral relation between Cyprus and Italy. Today's discussion will be focused on the important opportunities that Cyprus offers to Italian companies in the energy field, with particular reference to the energy transition and to the priorities contained in the Integrated National Energy and Climate Plan 2021-2030. The Smart Talk today was supposed to be moderated by my colleague Federico Franchina, Vice President of the Italian-Cypriot Chamber of Commerce, but unfortunately he is not able to come due to some small consequence, not serious but annoying, of the first dose of the COVID vaccine did yesterday. For this reason, the moderation will be done by myself and by the other Vice President of the Chamber, Kostas Katsaros. Before to start the Smart Talk, I have the pleasure to remember the authoritative presence of the Minister Pilides also at the successful third edition of the Cypriot-Italian Business Forum organized last December, recently mentioned also among other activities in the meeting between the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Cyprus, Mr. Nikos Christodoulides, and the Italian Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mr. Luigi Di Maio. Before I leave the floor to Kostas, I would like to remark the importance of the cooperation in energy sector between Cyprus and Italy, and also the relevant activities and initiatives of the Chamber with the aim to support the presence of important Italian companies in the area. We see a huge potential in terms of cooperation between Cyprus and Italy in the field, and the focus of today's discussion will be surely a further confirmation. Let's start then. Please, Kostas.
Thank you, Giuseppe. Thank you all for your presence. Let me just go on with a very short intro of our minister, and we are all honored to have the Minister of Energy and Commerce and Industry of Cyprus, Ms. Natasa Pilides. Just to inform the Italian part of our audience for the background of our minister, she was appointed Minister of Energy, Commerce and Industry on July 10th of 2020. Previously, she had served as the first shipping deputy minister of the Republic of Cyprus, being in charge of strategic development and promotion of Cyprus as a world-class integrated maritime cluster with great success. From April 2016 and onwards, and she had the responsibility of the Invest Cyprus strategy as the Director General of Cyprus Investor Promotion and Agency of Cyprus. Today is called Invest Cyprus. And she designed and implemented the agency strategy in investment promotion, investor support and facilitation of reform of the agency in close collaboration with the government. She has a vast experience in the private sector, having worked for many years with prestigious audit firms. She has been working with PwC in Cyprus, Milan and London for 9 years. She has been also the Director and Regional Chief Operating Officer at Baker Tilly in Southeastern Europe. She is also a graduate of Oxford University with a first-class honor degree with distinction in modern languages and literature, French and Italian, a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of England and Wales, a member of Institute of Certified Public Accountants in Cyprus, a person with a dynamic presence in the public interest domain in Cyprus. So we are very glad to host here today with us and give an overview of the energy sector in Cyprus mostly, and also the other responsibilities of here in the ministry. Let me start with the first question related to the general environment right now on the energy sector. We know that since many years, at least the last year, Cyprus has emerged as of one of the main EU countries of importance for energy resources due to its strategic position and the energy resources here in Cyprus. How would you value the Cyprus oil and gas industry following the latest developments in the sector within EU? What would be your view of how you would value the sector of oil and industry in Cyprus, and gas industry in Cyprus?
Firstly, allow me to thank both you, Kostas and Giuseppe, for the extremely constructive collaboration that we have had for many years. Indeed, it is a collaboration that dates back to 5-6 years ago now, when Giuseppe first started the effort to create the Italian-Cypriot Chamber, and it was, I believe, an extremely clever and constructive move, which has really helped us to enhance the relations between Cyprus and Italy on many different fronts, including shipping that I was previously involved with, but also I believe a lot of the areas of energy commerce industry where we are working together now. So thank you very much for your tireless efforts for organizing all these webinars throughout the COVID period, which has been particularly difficult for all of us, and of course for not allowing the Chamber's work to lose its momentum, which is very promising. Shame about Federico, but I'm sure he will be much better after the vaccine effects are over and he is safe and sound and able to travel without fear. And hopefully all of us will have a chance to get vaccinated soon. Thank you also to everyone who has joined the call. It's really good to have everyone here and to be able to have a chat. Indeed, Cyprus is one of the only really countries within the EU that has natural gas potential, and that's something very important for us, which we do feel could play an important role within the EU, both politically in allowing the EU to move away from dependence from other countries. That's definitely something that we've been discussing in the context of COVID and its aftermath as well. We had a Council of Ministers for Competitiveness yesterday where this matter was mentioned as an important issue. Sensitive areas such as health, energy, etc. need to be safeguarded so that in times of need Europe can be self-sustained. And we believe that natural gas is a bridge fuel. It's not a fuel. It's not completely green, of course, but it's not as polluting as heavy fuel oil and petrol and other fossil fuels. So we do think that it has a role to play. We think that Cyprus can be part of this East-Med collaboration, and we definitely think that that is key to making things happen. Cyprus in itself, with the discoveries that it has in its own EEZ, is not by itself enough to provide this momentum necessary. However, there are many synergies around the area. I think the collaboration that we have, particularly now with the MGF and with all the various countries of the region involved, is a very positive one. And we really need to look at the spectrum as an East-Med picture, not a Cyprus sort of isolated picture. In terms of Cyprus, as you know, we've had quite a few discoveries up to now. So we've had our first discovery in 2011 at the Aphrodite field, the first one, which is estimated to have about 4.5 TCF. billion cubic feet of gas. Then after that, we had Calypso, which was the next significant, let's say, discovery in Block 6 by ENI. And then that was followed, of course, by Exxon and the Galapagos gas field in Block 10 of REZ. Now, these results, whilst they are promising, we need to see the results of the next drillings as well, which are planned in 2021 to actually be able to appraise the full potential. However, the positive thing is that we already have commercial discoveries available, and we are exploring the synergies with the different countries and of course the companies that are active in our region to see how best to push things forward so that these investments, these assets can actually produce and contribute. Now, another very important source of energy which Cyprus has an abundance of is the sun, renewable energy. So we believe that as natural gas is a bridge fuel, the planning for the oil and gas or the sort of LNG, the natural gas sector cannot be done independently without having a full plan for the transition to green energy. Of course, as a new country, we are very committed to the Green Deal and really exploring the aspects and the ways in which we can move to a completely green economy. And that really ties into the rest of the areas that our ministry is working on, which is, of course, commerce and industry, where we need to become green in those aspects as well. And so we believe that if we build the infrastructure, such as storage infrastructure, such as the interconnector, the Eurasia-Europe interconnector, and also bigger capability in renewable energy sources, we can really combine the two to create a strong case for Cyprus as an energy player in the region.
Thanks, Natasa. Really interesting picture, and thanks for the clarity on this. And in this regard, about the particular scheme that is in place in Cyprus in order to explore the energy resource, because what are exactly the mission and the structure of the entities like DEFA and CXC? I just mentioned that we had the authoritative representative of these two entities in Italy in a forum that you organized at the end of 2019. But it is important for us that to give us a clear picture about the activity of those entities.
Absolutely. The Cyprus Hydrocarbons Company, the CHC, is a company that is responsible for the development of our own natural gas. So basically, it is responsible for commercial management of the hydrocarbon ownership rights of Cyprus, which it has in all of the different agreements that we've come to with the various companies that we are working with and the various joint ventures. It is also responsible for midstream infrastructure projects, such as land-based LNG or pipelines, which are to do with the development of our own gas fields, basically. Now, of course, CHC has a very large amount of expertise in areas of oil and gas, and also in areas of energy generally. So its personnel has the ability to contribute to all parts of the hydrocarbons value chain. And now we are also looking at things like sustainable development, how our gas resources can be developed as sustainably as possible, with a focus on protecting the environment, and also how they can be a part of our wider strategy for a move to completely green energy. So CHC is a very valuable partner that is looking both at the commercialization aspect of the LNG, of the natural gas, but also how that will tie in with our wider strategy. Now, DEFA, the natural gas public company, is as the name suggests, responsible for natural gas, and that is for the import of natural gas to Cyprus, whether it be from our own resources, so from our own gas fields, or whether it be from other producers. Because Cyprus, as you know, is one of the last countries in the EU which does not have natural gas yet in its electricity mix. That is one of our major priorities as Ministry of Energy. By 2022, DEFA has the very difficult task of completing a rather complex project whereby natural gas will be available and will come to Cyprus. And so holistically, it is involved in the whole process of making sure that the project is constructed. That includes an LNG, the jetty, and an FSRD facility at the Vasilipo area. And it also includes the agreements whereby initially LNG will be imported, because in 2022, unfortunately, by 2022, we will not have our own gas as yet. And so we will need to import natural gas from other suppliers. So an important thing to mention is that because the EU basically assessed Cyprus's market as emergent and isolated, DEFA has obtained derogation whereby it is going to be the sole importer and supplier of natural gas in Cyprus for a period of 10 years, or up to 10 years. And that is very crucial, because it actually means that every single producer of electricity in Cyprus will be getting natural gas at the same price under the same conditions. And we think that that is something very important in order to enable the electricity market to open. And that brings me to another major priority of the Ministry of Energy, which is to move away from the sole dependence on the Electricity Authority of Cyprus, which is a semi-governmental organization, to the liberalization of the electricity market. Crucially, we have already entered the transition phase where, as of the 1st of January 2021, companies are able to enter the electricity market, and full liberalization will happen in 2022, by which time our TSO is working very hard to actually, with a private company that is building the software that will enable the market to actually come into full liberalization. At the moment, there's already a company that has entered the transitional phase, and so that's good for two reasons. One, of course, is that prices of electricity go down for the consumer when there's more competition, and the second is that we are slowly going to, hopefully not slowly, much faster, we're going to be able to increase the renewable energy sources within the energy mix much faster with a liberalized electricity market, and of course potentially with the interconnector that we mentioned earlier.
Okay, thank you very much. That was a really clear picture. Just a service communication that I received regarding the audio. Maybe there is some issue with the microphone, or we can maybe.
Okay, I'll be closer to my computer then, just so we don't have any issues.
Okay, maybe it's because we just received some communication about this. Okay. Regarding now is better. Regarding back to the EastMed energy corridor. So what is Cyprus is a key player for this. What is the goal of this ambitious project? Really ambitious project.
Well, it is a very ambitious project. However, it's ambitious because there's huge gas potential within the East Med region. Since Tamar discovery in 2009, around 2,100 BCM have been discovered between Israel, Egypt, and Cyprus. So we do think that there is a lot of potential. But this potential, as I said earlier, can only be leveraged on through regional collaboration and coordination. So that is what the East Med corridor. We believe that without having these lines of communication and these different projects that will facilitate the development of natural gas, our efforts will not be successful. So we're working on a number of different projects. One, of course, is the Eastern Pipeline, which is a very ambitious project, as we said, but also many other projects in the region, which we believe will also be of help. Recently, we had a ministerial meeting about East Med, which was held between Israel, Greece, Cyprus, and several Balkan countries as well, to explore the potential of obtaining more interest from additional countries for the project, and it went very well. We agreed that the project is a priority and that we will be sending a joint letter to the the commissioner of DG Energy at EU level to express our support, and of course, we're here to support all the projects and initiatives that will make Cyprus part of this energy corridor. As I said earlier, not just for natural gas, but also for other types of energy as well.
Thank you very much. Excellent. In this regard, for example, we have Euro-Asia Interconnector. That is a really important project. And there is recently an agreement between Greece, Cyprus, and Israel regarding this project. What are the insight of this project and the future development that you see, and also what do you think about the position of Italy in this Mediterranean energy framework?
Okay, well, the Euro-Asia Interconnector project is definitely an ambitious project. Again, it's like an electricity highway of about 2,000 megawatts. Well, 1,000 to begin with, and then 2,000 during the second phase of the project. So it is definitely a big project. It's, for us, for Cyprus, is very crucial because it will connect our country with Europe in terms of the internal electricity market. We are the only country that's isolated energy-wise still. And so that's why this project is of strategic importance, obviously, so that we can be part of the internal market, but also for a few other reasons. One is that the more energy security we have, the more renewable energy sources we can have within our mix without being scared that we will have blackouts or any interruptions in electricity supply. And so that enables us to move on with our renewable energy plans much faster. And of course, electricity security as a whole is a big component that is dealt with this project. The third very important factor is that renewable energy then has much more potential because it's not looking at just satisfying the internal needs of Cyprus as a small market, being a small country, but also exporting. And of course, we would be able to export to other European countries, and we would be able to import from other European countries. So it would be a case of whoever is able to supply the consumer with the best possible service at the best price would be eligible, of course, under the rules of the regulators of all the different countries, which would of course apply. But you can understand how much potential this project would open up for us and also for Europe, because Europe needs to move also to very ambitious plans regarding green energy. And in Cyprus, because of the abundance of sun, we are able to produce renewable energy from, solar energy very, very cheaply compared to many other countries within the EU. So we want to be able to supply that not just to our own consumers, but perhaps to consumers in other countries as well, given the opportunity. Now, for Italy, being part of the Mediterranean Energy Framework, I think it's already happening. Of course, Italy is a very valuable partner in the East Med pipeline project, and that is something that has been going on for many years. But now, Italy is also a full member of the EMGF, of the East Mediterranean Gas Forum. So we're very happy that at that forum we now have 8 countries that are full members. So apart from the 7 countries, including Italy, Greece, Cyprus, Israel, Palestine, that were members of the EMGF to begin with. We now have France that has joined, and so and Jordan, of course, which was already within the 7 members. I think I omitted it. And we're very happy that we have Italy on board, taking part in discussions about taking place very, very regularly. We had our first ministerial meeting after the official setting into effect of the memorandum of the EMGF, which came into effect on the 1st of March. We had a meeting in Cairo on the 9th of March, which I was fortunately able to join physically. We had Italy joining through a video conference, but we're already starting moving ahead with the discussions on various energy market matters, and we would like to see the EMGF going beyond natural gas and starting to look at more matters within energy where we can collaborate and have fruitful and tangible results for the region.
This is really, really, really important also for the strengthen and the further develop the relation. Really, really important. We know, of course, the role of the energy field in to improve and to strengthen the relation between the 2 countries was really, really important. I would like to ask, what is the current value of the Italian-Cypriot commercial trade in generally, in the energy, oil and gas, we can say mainly industry in particular?
Well, we've been looking a little bit at all the various the numbers in all the sectors for trade. The trade in goods between Cyprus and Italy, we have bilateral trade growing by 55% between 2016 and 2020. So that is very important. From January to December 2020, we had domestic exports to Italy of 16.3 million, which seems quite low, but I suppose for Cyprus standards, it can be quite a respectable number. We had 18.2 increase compared to the same period of the previous years, even through the pandemic. So that is extremely important. We had, however, the main products that we exported have to do with citrus fruit, medicine, which is an important industry in Cyprus, aluminium waste, beans, potatoes, etc. So more sort of other types of goods. However, we did import about 11% of our total petroleum imports from Italy in 2020. So that's definitely an important component. And other than that, we also have main input products in mineral fuels and mineral oils, iron and steel, machinery and medical appliances. So whilst it's not just oil and gas, it's also other, related sort of products. Now, since we are talking about trade, it's also important to mention that there is a very good relationship in terms of services, which I'm sure you are aware as president of the chamber. And we have had exports rising steadily over the past years. We've had an increase of 70% between 2011 and 2019, where we believe that that is quite a good number. And for 2019, we had 83 million in exports of services to Italy, which, as you can see, is quite a lot more than we had in terms of the products. Whereas between 2011 and 2019, we had 207% increase in the export of services to Italy. So over that long period of time, we had actually quite a interesting increase, and I'm sure that we can build on that further with more collaboration between our two countries, both in terms of the exports and of course in terms of the imports, which are also increasing steadily.
Okay, thank you very much. Really important for us to have all these numbers, to have a whole picture. Back to the gas, back to the gas market, because considering the huge amount of energy sources discovered in Cyprus, what do you think about the market of Cyprus gas outside the EU? Do you think there is a market about this? And if yes, what are the government expectations about this?
Well, yes, I definitely think there's a market. I mean, we've seen with COVID a very adverse move in the prices, of course, which we're all very aware of. And we do believe that the map in terms of LNG supply and demand is changing. We think that there is going to be significant interests that will remain in countries in the region, in the Asian region, for example. And yes, we do think that the EU, given the developments of the Green Deal, becomes perhaps less of a focus than it would have been maybe envisaged a few years ago. However, we do think that there are many parts in the world, particularly in Asia, where LNG will play a role as a bridge fuel for many years to come, for at least 30, 40 years in the future. We also think that a lot of countries in Europe will also use LNG as a bridge gas for quite a few years to come. I mean, we haven't talked 2050 to become completely CO2 completely neutral in terms of our emissions. And I do think that Cyprus included, a lot of countries, particularly in Eastern Europe, will continue to use natural gas as part of their transition to the greener economy.
Okay, thanks. No, this is linked regarding also the situation with COVID-19. I think it's important to talk about the development plans regarding the Cyprus National Plan for Recovery and Resiliency, because they are strictly connected. So it's really important, and together with this also, because I know that are strictly linked the impact of the decarbonization process, and all the because all is the direction is on the decarbonization, of course, on the green energy. So it's really important to have your view about this.
Yes, I mean, important questions, actually. Both are important questions. In terms of recovery and resilience, Cyprus has a lot of ambitious plans. We are drawing about 1.6 billion from the resilience, the RRF, the facility, out of which 400 million at least is exclusively going to our ministry. So you can see that we have a very big part of the full amount. Now, out of those 400 million, about 50% is purely on energy projects to do with transition to green energy. So we have already issued a couple of funding schemes, one for the energy upgrade of households, which is 70 million for the next 7 years. So you can see how much importance we're placing. You know about the renovation wave as a big part of the policy of the EU for greening energy in Europe. And here in Cyprus, we have done a study where we have identified this as quite a significant obstacle, because a lot of the houses, more than 90% of houses, were built before energy requirements were actually set at the levels that they are now. And so many houses in Cyprus have the possibility to upgrade. So that's a big component, but we're also introducing similar funding schemes very, very soon for municipalities, for public buildings, and also for businesses, of course. Now, we have other plans as well for storage in homes with our current scheme, but also big storage projects, which will, as I mentioned earlier in our discussion, they will enable us to really increase renewables in our energy mix, because like the interconnector, they can increase the security of the network whilst being dependent on RES. So storage is a big part of the funding, and then we have the other large part, which is entrepreneurship. For entrepreneurship, we have schemes, funding programs, which are for industry. We have others that also apply to service companies, such as technological advancement and investing in technological tools. We have programs to do with circular economy and how to become more circular as a business, which of course is very important to us for green growth as well. And we also have programs for new entrepreneurship. So new entrepreneurs starting a business and obtaining funding to do so. And then other programs particularly for the agricultural sector and helping industries that are either sort of producing things like cheese, traditional products, etc., or other products to do with the agricultural sector. So we have a lot going on, definitely a much bigger number than what we had before. I mean, last one thing that I said actually, which may be misleading, is that the whole 200 million is from RRF. It's not. Some of it is coming from the cohesion fund, which is already available. But just to give you a picture, in the last program period, 2014 to 2020, we had about 120 million in total, and now we have more than 400 million. So you can see, how challenging it is also going to be for us to actually give out those funds. So we have designed a completely automated process whereby people can apply online with very simplified rules in certain cases. For the energy upgrades, we are using a very simplified accounting method that has been introduced by the EU, which really will simplify the process for applicants as well. And hopefully, because of this, we will be able to maintain our excellent record. We are Cyprus is first country in the EU in terms of the absorption of funds, and we really will fight very hard to be able to give money to the community and to entrepreneurs, so that we're able to obviously reverse the terrible impact that COVID has had on all of our countries, of course, and Cyprus not being an exception.
Definitely, yes. So regarding the energy transition and climate plan, we can say there are really positive outcomes and perspective for Cyprus. This is something that, of course, will help also Cyprus to solve the historical issue about the CO2 emissions that is strictly linked regarding the green certificate issue, because I know that there is a significant economic impact of this. So this outcome for the future will help a lot about this. If you can, if you can say something about this further development.
Yeah, I mean, Cyprus's energy sector is undergoing a huge overhaul. I think this is apparent in our conversation up to this point, because we have a lot that needs to happen pretty much around the same time in order to get everything streamlined to move to the next level. So we have a lot of legislation that is actually being updated, that is being introduced. You mentioned before the opening, the liberalization of the electricity market, which is very important. We also have new legislation to do with renewable energy sources, whereby we will be introducing a one-stop shop for the permitting process of renewable projects, which we believe will increase investment appetite. We already have very good investment appetite in energy as a whole, in green energy, but also in energy projects to do with the liberalization of the market and new energy producers entering the scene. So the RES legislation is important. We also have a couple of other important reforms. One is the reform, the new legislation to do with electricity, whereby our TSO is also going to be completely independent. That's something very important that needs to go hand in hand with the opening of the market. And we also have new legislation for DEFA to become a national entity under a different legal status, which will give it the tools necessary to perform its duties to the fullest extent. And of course, DEFA also has many plans to set up its activities in a more comprehensive and more extensive way, so that it can play the role that it will need to play within the next few years. So yes, there is a lot of things that need to come together to actually ensure that that competitiveness is increased in this area, and of course, within all this, we have the plans going on for hydrocarbons, which we discussed earlier on, which are important and will add to the whole spectrum in a significant way. And we also have the goals within the NCP, within the National Energy and Climate Plan, which are mapped and linked to all of these both the legislation, but also the funding programs that I mentioned before, which will enable us to meet the targets. Now, of course, these targets are to do with our ministry to some extent, but they also involve other ministries. So, of course, for example, the Ministry of Transport has a big role to play when it comes to greening the area of transport, which is one of the main areas that needs to become greener. And of course, electric cars will play a huge role. And so it has a number of different plans and incentives that are going to be introduced to actually enable both individuals and companies to move to electric cars and to become less dependent on petrol and diesel.
Okay, thank you very much. Regarding the reform that you mentioned, one of the most important, we believe, is the reform of the internal electricity market. What is currently the stage of this reform, and how it could be affected by the EU policy on the cut of the carbon emission? Because it's what we discussed earlier. So this is really important.
Actually, it's part of the plan for the reduction of carbon emissions, because as I mentioned earlier, Cyprus is one of the very few countries that is not utilizing natural gas yet as within its electricity supply. And so it's an important stepping stone which will enable us to reduce emissions and finally reach our goals whilst increasing, of course, renewable energy at the same time. Well, by 2022, Cyprus will have completed the Cyprus Gas to EU project, which is the project that DEFA is running. So the construction, the preparatory work is already underway, and the project is progressing according to timelines with the companies that have been selected to actually build and implement the project. At the same time, we are also, as I mentioned, looking to open up the electricity market, which is also very crucial. The two need to happen around the same time so that new suppliers of electricity have the ability to use LNG. That's actually part of the thinking, because we're opening up the market so that LNG can come in, prices can come down, and then there's the added possibility of these producers increasing renewable energy within their own production, and also new entrants coming in with more and more renewable projects, which we hope will continue to be entering the market. And already, as I said, we have quite a few projects that have entered into the market at the moment, or up until the end of last year. They were basically supplying the grid, supplying the EAC, because there's no other suppliers at the moment. However, there were no other suppliers. However, now that the market has opened up into its transitional phase, these projects can also choose alternative suppliers or can enter as suppliers themselves.
Okay, thank you. So really important development also about it. You mentioned earlier the renewable energy, that of course is one of the most important area and topics. How the renewable energy are divided among different technology in Cyprus? And also, is there any program regarding hydrogen developments?
Yes, well, we have mainly solar energy within our renewable energy mix at the moment. We do have some wind parks which are also important, but they did not take off as much as solar energy in Cyprus, obviously, because there's much more sun than there is wind. So we are, according to studies, we have indications that renewable energy could be between 25% to 40% of Cyprus's total electricity supply by 2030. Now, of course, if the electricity interconnector happens, and if it happens and it is up and running, let's say a few years before 2030, I would envisage it at the earliest in 2025. So if it does go ahead and it comes into play, it can really help us to increase that number a lot more. Storage at the same time is something that we will be investing in and funding through specific funding programs that we hope to get approved by the RRF. Also, if that happens, we will be able to increase the mix even more. Now, with respect to other technologies, we do have people interested in two things. One is hydrogen, the other is offshore technologies. However, offshore technologies, have different possibilities. One is wind, that is the most popular, but of course we could also be looking at alternative technologies as well, particularly with the case of Cyprus, where wind is not one of our main sort of areas of focus to date. We have discussed with various companies that are interested, and with the various associations. There is an association for hydrogen which has just been formed actually within, I think a few days ago, they had their initial meeting with the council, with the board having been announced. We have a person from our ministry that is also on the board. And we have several innovative projects that people are working on. However, at the moment, we don't have a project that's ready to enter the market. It's all happening on a more sort of research and development phase, but we are very excited about these projects, and we are in touch with all of them and trying to provide as much support as we can from the ministry's perspective in order to be able to make sure that the regulatory side and all the support that the state needs to give is actually in place for these projects to go ahead.
Thank you. Really important to know how is moving the industry, how are moving the most important measure and companies in the area. Another question back to the LNG facilities and the natural gas. I would like to ask, what is the relation that you see with the connection that could be with the shipping industry that you know very well. So regarding LNG facilities in Cyprus and relation with the shipping industry, and if you believe that the Cyprus could be a model for the green shipping. So
well, Cyprus has already, as a flag, it has already introduced some incentives with regards to green ships. This was something that we had approved by the EU. If you remember, Giuseppe, we had obtained in 2020 the approval by the EU of the renewal of our tonnage tax system. Within that tonnage tax system, there is a special component which provides for special discounts for ships that are greener, with different categorizations and different provisions. Recently, the Shipping Deputy Ministry has announced the exact parameters of this program, and so yes, definitely Cyprus as a flag could be a model or one of the countries using best practices to actually encourage this sort of approach. Cyprus also has a very strong presence in the IMO. It has been a member of the Council of the IMO for many years, and a valued member, judging by the popularity and the number of votes that we get in the elections. And so we definitely could actually play an important role. Another important development that's worth mentioning is that the EMGF, the East Mediterranean Gas Forum, has a special working group within all the different working groups that have been set up, which is to do with the LNG on board ships and how the technology can be utilized and how we can encourage ships within the Mediterranean region to become greener. During the last meeting of the EMGF in Cairo, I suggested that specialists from the Shipping Deputy Ministry should join the team because I feel that they have a lot to offer to the team, seeing as Cyprus and Greece are the only shipping nations, if you like, that are part of the EMGF. This proposal was accepted, and we have already appointed 2 people from the Shipping Deputy Ministry who are part of that working group, so that they can share both the experiences from the IMO, but also the important work that the EU is doing in greening fuel within the shipping industry. And hopefully we can come up with more actions that we can take as a region in order to support green shipping.
Thank you very much, Natasa, because I would say we are going to the conclusion, to the last question, and to the conclusion. I can say that we covered a lot of topics in the area, absolutely of interest for our members and partners, and I'm sure that we will have important developments with Italian companies in the near future. So I would like to thank you again before to leave the word to my colleague Kostas, just for the last question and the conclusion. Thank you again, and I hope to see you in person soon.
Thank you, Giuseppe, likewise, and I hope you will be able to visit Cyprus again soon.
One last question, and also to give you the chance to conclude with any remarks that you would have following that very interesting discussion. We had recently the statement from Mario Draghi as the new Italian Prime Minister, highlighting in his first speech the necessity to improve the relations amongst the Mediterranean and especially the Mediterranean EU countries. We had recently also the visit of the Italian Foreign Minister in Cyprus, which showcased the strengthening of the Italian-Cypriot relations. What is your position, and what do you see as a role that could be played from the energy perspective towards that enhancement of the relationship? And what you feel that would be the new era towards the relationships between the Mediterranean and EU Mediterranean countries? We see there are a lot of developments, meetings. What is your message towards these developments as a Minister of Energy of Cyprus?
Well, I think that the excellent relationship between Cyprus and Italy has been highlighted recently by the meeting between our respective foreign ministers, which had a very positive outcome and indeed some very encouraging statements by both ministers. And indeed, I do think that that energy has a key role to play, as you said, within the collaboration between the two countries. We have a very strong collaborator in ENI. We're very proud to have ENI in Cyprus as one of the main operators within our EEZ, and we are also extremely excited about the synergies that we could have, which we have already spoken about in our bilateral meetings with the chamber, with respect to renewable energy and technology and different opportunities for collaboration in all of those aspects as well. So, of course, we believe that the prospects are huge. We are very, very happy to have Italy on board at the EMGF, and I think that offers an excellent platform to take forward the discussions both at the government level with the ministerial meetings that are taking place, but also at the technocratic level, since the companies are also able to have specific involvement within the EMGF. And Minister Tariq Al-Molla, Minister of Petroleum of Egypt, which is the host country for EMGF, is looking at models where we can bring in the companies to actually have meaningful discussions and not just to bring them, around the table to be talking about general stuff. So the more specific suggestions which will be put forward in the long-term strategy for the organization, which is being designed at the moment, and all the countries, including of course Cyprus and Italy, will have the opportunity to contribute towards the drafting of that document. Hopefully by our next meeting we will have something in front of us to be able to examine. And then of course trade and industry are also important aspects. Italy is very advanced in the industrial sector, much more so than Cyprus, but Cyprus has some very valuable industries that are now looking to become greener, that are looking to become smarter, and we believe that we can learn a lot from Italy in manufacturing, light manufacturing, how to best practices, and also in circular economy, which is going to be something very important for European countries. I think the consumers in these countries are becoming much more aware and demanding about what they consume, how environmentally sensitive the practices of companies are. And I think that that's another area of collaboration, is how to change our operating and business models to move in that direction so that we can still be competitive within the European market, but also increasingly within the global market as well. So the opportunities are huge. I think the Chamber has been playing a key role in bringing these ideas forward, in getting the discussion going and in continuing the discussion. We saw in the increase in trade numbers that there is potential, and we really are here to help to tap into that potential. So we look forward to more discussions like this, and to physical meetings finally, when we can all meet and organize and have some more business initiatives like we had in the past, to keep the momentum going and to have some tangible results. So thank you again for the excellent discussion. It was really enjoyable. The questions were extremely insightful, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about all these things to everyone taking part in today's meeting.
Thank you so much, Minister, on behalf of the Chamber, and I think that the audience had the chance to follow a very, very interesting discussion with very accurate and focused answers in detailed questions with regards to the strategy of the ministry and the actions for the implementation of that strategy towards various fields, with a focus on the energy sector, of course. You have analyzed the policies not only in the oil and gas industry, but also in the renewable energy sector, which plays a pivotal role in the years to come. The strengthening of the relationships, all the initiatives towards that goal. As a chamber, we are always placing our efforts towards the enhancement of the relationship, and despite the difficulties of the COVID era, we have found this type of web discussions in order to be able to keep all the efforts alive until, fortunately, restrictions ease and the situation returns back to a new normality, or hopefully to the old normality. However, this type of information is very, very important for especially for the Italian part of the audience, who have a lot of interest and eagerness to hear what are the plans of the Cypriot government. I think that we gave a very, very good overview, and we once again thank you very much for your contribution, your answers. We hope that we will soon have the opportunity to discuss in person and develop the dialogue, and hopefully have positive news towards all these fields. Thank you so much. Thank you all for being with us here. We see that almost all participants stay till the end, which is very important, and shows the interest on our discussion today. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.